We've done this with a number of our clients. These two guys are in Melbourne, and they were DJs, and they basically had a intellectual property about how to create a really great countdown. And we helped them to package that into software that other DJs could use to create a competition that leads up for 5 days. So people submitting all of their tracks, aggregating their tracks, and then they turn up to a big countdown event. And they productize this into a package that DJs now all over the world are using and licensing. And then at the same time, they came up with this concept called 5-minute business. And 5-minute business was a little idea that they used to always talk about, which is how can you take an idea forward in 5 minutes? So they would have a business idea and they would see intensely what they could do in just 5 minutes. And they wrote this little book about that. And now they DJ around the world. And it's the most funny story because these guys go DJing around the world. They then license their DJing system around the world while they're there. And then during the day, believe it or not, normally the afternoon, not the morning, they do these talks on 5-minute business and they're tapped into all these entrepreneurship groups around the world. So when they turn up in Brazil, which they recently did, they got paid to DJ a couple of grand. They then did $2,000 to $5,000 worth of licensing deals for their software. And then they did 2 talks, which they got $2 grand for as well. So they're traveling around the world making about 10 grand wherever they stop. And they're absolutely loving it. So these guys are a lot of fun. But it all started with some intellectual property that they just took for granted. This is Holly Helt. She knows everything about green tea. She knows the chemical compounds of green tea. She's a massive, massive green tea fan. Believe it or not, I didn't know this, but green tea actually scientifically makes you more creative. It stimulates the creativity centers in your brain chemically. It helps you think clearer, faster. The founders of Google drink green tea constantly, and they don't drink coffee. So she has productized all of her knowledge about green tea, and as a result of publishing content and choosing great green tea products, oh, by the way, it has to be Japanese green tea, because Chinese green tea is baked, Japanese green tea is steamed, which keeps that creativity chemical in it. So she started talking about this all over the world. The Japanese government now gives her a very lucrative contract to support the Japanese green tea and represent them around the world as part of their exporting. So she totally took this for granted. This was just something fun that she used to do. It was her passion, green tea. She turned it into this brand called Cheeky Tea. Lee Ashton was an interesting client. So Lee Ashton, she was doing one-to-one sales training with top salespeople, and she had lots of intellectual property around how to do really great sales over the phone, how to build rapport with people. She took this out of her head and she turned it into a SaaS product called Sasudi. And Sasudi offers support for salespeople. And she took that intellectual property, she worked with an investor and an IT team to take all the insights that she's learned over the last 20 years in sales training, putting it into a software system, and now she has a business that's valued at millions. And she's going to be licensing that system into some of the UK's largest corporates based upon her leveraged insights. So here's the interesting thing, and I'll just go a bit off topic here. There was a report called the Unicorn Report, and the Unicorn Report looked at 40 businesses that had gone from $0 to $1 billion. And there's only really been 40 of them that have started as private companies and gone to billion-dollar companies. And it said, it found something very interesting. So when you think of a company that goes from $0 to $1 billion, how old do you think the founder is of a company like that when they start that business? How old do you reckon most of them would be? 20? So we imagine Mark Zuckerberg, don't we? Or we imagine the Google boys. So the actual answer is 37. So the founder of a billion-dollar business was 37 on average when they started that business. And mind you, that age was dragged down by those founders in their 20s, right? Typically, the business reached a billion-dollar valuation when the founder was 45. So they started at 37 and it got to a billion-dollar business at 45. And here's what they discovered. They discovered that very valuable companies are not created by kids. They're actually created by people who have deep insights into an industry and have been in that industry 15, 20 years. They learn things and then they leverage their insights by changing the way that they bring those insights to market. So Lee Ashton's a great example of that. 15, 20 years of sales training deep insights into problems that need to be solved, deep insights into how to solve those problems, and then rather than showing up one-to-one, she shows up through software, and those insights show up through software. So that's what I'm talking about with productization. My belief is that every single person here is sitting on some really valuable insights, and they become very valuable when we repackage them into better products. So that's what we want to do. The next one's profile building. And profile building is a great skill once we've done the first three. So first one I talked about was the ability to deliver a consistent pitch that can be delivered again and again and again and refined and improved, but a consistent pitch. Then published content, then products. There's actually no point in being on TV if A, you don't have clear, concise pitch, if B, there's no content for people to go away and read, and C, there's no products for people to buy. So you do this one fourth. In fact, I have a client in the USA who was on Oprah Winfrey because he rode across America on a bicycle wearing nothing but a pink bra. And he was on Oprah Winfrey, raised all this money for breast cancer research. And his little tiny blog site got 3 million views in 48 hours, and then nothing happened. And he said it was like rain in the desert. He said it rained, it poured, and then it evaporated and it was gone. And he said, I wish I had have had some published content. I wish I had have had some products for people to buy. I wish I had have had a more consistent message about what I actually do. And that's why we say profile comes fourth. So you are who Google says you are. And this is an important distinction. Every single person in this room is going to encounter the potential for a really big game-changing deal. So who here thinks that at some point in the next 5 years, you're going to have a meeting with someone who could change your life? Who thinks that you'd have that? Yeah, I do as well. So maybe it's with like a CEO of a bigger company. Maybe it's a big investor. Before they push the go button, before they say, yes, we're going to do the deal, yes, we're going to mail our database, yes, we're going to send the money over to you, guess what they're also going to do? They're going to Google you. So we really need to make sure that we have a great, clean Google profile. Recently, actually today, I was having lunch with someone and they said, I Googled you and the first 10 pages are all really positive things. And I'm really skeptical. And I said, well, let me show you how to find all the nasty stuff about me, right? And so we went through, and I said, look, I got 2-star review on this book site, and this person hated my book, and all that sort of stuff. But he said, I'm always skeptical when someone's got a profile that's too good. So isn't it funny that we have to build a profile, but then you get the other problem. This is also fascinating. This is a Facebook group called the Fruit Sticker Appreciation Society. Now, this is deeply fascinating to me. There are 92 people in the world who collect fruit stickers off of fruit and collect them into little albums and keep those albums. And look at the joy on her face when she does this. She's really happy that she's collected her fruit stickers. Now, the reason I find this fascinating is because out of 92 people in the world, up until recently, they wouldn't have been able to find each other. They would have been feeling very much alone in the world, and they would have felt that they were the only one with this dirty little habit and this horrible secret. And now, they've joined their little Fruit Sticker Appreciation Society, and they can connect, and they're together. And there's 92 of them, and maybe they're going to organize a tour where they go to the fruit plant and they see the stickers being put on the fruit, and maybe they're going to share albums, and maybe they're going to sell the rare one that was on the apple in 1998 or something like that. But they've found each other, and this is a fascinating thing because your marketplace could be all over the world, and there are new marketplaces that couldn't possibly have existed up until now. So up until now, there's no possible market called the Fruit Sticker Appreciation Market, and then suddenly we can find them because even though there's only 92, we can put them all in one place. And it's a reminder that your marketplace may be all over the world. You may love to do something that's really freaky, that very few people like to do, and that could be a really, really big business. Maybe it has to be a little bit bigger than the fruit stickers, but you get the point. Here's an actual example. Paula Moore is a chiropractor, and she's a client of ours in London. And she is super passionate about posture correction, and she really believes that posture and breath are like the building blocks of life. And she thinks that everything begins with your posture, everything begins with your breath. And if she gives a talk, within about a minute, all of you would be like sitting up and doing this thing. And she's created posture correction products, these things that pull your shoulders back and all these sorts of things. She's got shoes that she recommends, all this sort of stuff. Now, she thought she was the only posture nutter. And it turns out she's not the only posture nutcase. She wrote a book called The Posture Doctor, which has gone on to sell lots of copies. But she also set up a YouTube channel where she just talks about posture and breath all the time. And it has 1 million views when I snapped that, which was inside of 12 months of setting it up. And then I looked again a month ago, and it was at 2 million views, which is inside 18 months. So over 2 million people are off there joining her group and subscribing to what she does. People all over the world. Now she's getting endorsement. She's like a posture celebrity now. So she has companies sending her products, and she gets paid to endorse products because she's built that profile. This is Sarah. She's a client in Sydney, and when we met her, she was a nurse, and she was working in the children's hospital, and she wrote a book with our help called A Life, a Finger, a Pee up a Nose, and it was all the stuff that she would see when she was in the children's thing, and her passion was teaching parents basic first aid so that if something happens to their children, they can respond properly. So we helped her to write the book, we helped her to create a parents' first aid program, and then we helped her to build her profile. She got on all the major TV shows across Australia, and she's built a business that is now a 7-figure business that is a training company teaching parents how to do CPR. She's never been in business before. She built her founder brand. She's got this great brand. She's on TV all the time, and now she's got, in each of the 4 major cities around Australia, she's got first aid trainers teaching parents about how to help their infants and their kids. Right? Fifth one is partnerships. My personal belief is that anything at all gains credibility only through the partnerships that are involved. So if I told you that I'm starting a business and I want to have 10,000 customers in 12 months, you'd say, well, that sounds too many. And I say, well, our product's going to be packaged in through every HSBC small business client. And you go, well, why only 10,000? So depending on who you have as a partner, depends on the credibility of the scale to your business. So partners add scale. I think when people do things in isolation, they naturally find it very difficult to scale their business or to do anything. And with the right partners, almost anything is possible. So for us, we launched in 6 cities around the world. We went from $0 to $5 million in the first 3 years worth of business, $5 million US. And we did it all basically through partnerships. So every city that we would arrive in, we'd find the top 10 companies that are already talking to entrepreneurs and small businesses. We'd partner with them. We'd launch a major conference, and we'd do over $1 million worth of revenue in the first 12 months. Rob Gardner, he wanted to disrupt the pension fund industry. He's a client of ours here in London. And he thought, rather than disrupt the industry from the outside in, what if I go in, partner with them, to take our new solution through them. So he's done partnerships with BNY Mellon, with JP Morgan, who is his old employee. He's now employed 50 plus geniuses, proper geniuses. They're turning over, I think, about £8 million this year. And it's all through partnerships. They've been able to develop partnerships. They have over $500 million in managed funds. Sorry, did I say $500 million? Sorry, I think it's $500 billion. I don't know. It's 270 billion at that time, and it's now 500 billion, whatever that number is, half a lot. But he said, as a result of applying the KPI method and building his founder brand and focusing on these 5 things, he's grown 20% above what he expected to grow as a result of doing that within 18 months. So we've applied this method on fitness trainers, investment bankers, florists, IT managers, business coaches, plumbers, property developers, social media marketers, midwives, all sorts of different people, and it just works again and again and again. So I really urge you, take it on. We live in very exciting times. We live in a time where technology is just like the most absolutely cool, fascinating thing, but behind the technology is people. And if you can't build your brand as a person, then you can't utilize a lot of this stuff. Most of this technology is designed to leverage personality. It's designed to leverage people. You know, Facebook, YouTube, all of that stuff, it's designed to leverage your intellectual property. So you've got to, all of the hard work's been done over here, the billions of dollars have been spent over here, you've got to do the hard work in developing your intellectual property, your personal brand, and then leveraging it through that technology. My final thought is you're already on a mountain of value, but the problem with being on a mountain of value is what's the one thing you can't see when you're standing on a mountain? You can't see the mountain, right? So when you climb a mountain, you stand there and you get this beautiful view of everything, but you can't see the actual mountain you're on. So after interviewing 3,000 entrepreneurs in groups, the most common element that I can tell you about all entrepreneurs is all of them are close to so much value and it's right under their nose, but they're too close to it, they can't see it, and they're off looking for the new shiny opportunity. I wish I was in that email marketing, I wish I was in that networking thing, I wish I was in that sales distribution thing. And they're looking at everything else going, oh, that's valuable, and they completely miss the fact that they're standing on a mountain of value. So my challenge to you is to look a little close to home and see if you can find that value. I've got time for a few questions if you want to ask questions, and we can finish up and all head home. Thank you very much.
Any questions for Daniel? Yeah.
Hi there. I find it really difficult. I'm in full-time employment, but I have, I suppose, been looking for that. I have the idea, but I can't make the transition into getting my business started up because I'm in full-time employment. So the time element is really difficult. Have you got any tips?
Yeah. Some of the first things I encourage anyone who's in full-time employment to do is to launch a blog and start getting what's in your head out and actually producing content, because that's going to help you to formalize your intellectual property. The other thing, I know it sounds so old school, but one of the things I love to encourage someone like yourself to do is to create a brochure of the dream product that you would love to bring in the world, the product you believe the world needs, with all the bells and whistles, regardless of how it would happen. Just build a brochure without thinking about how it would all happen, and build something like that. And go through and build a pitch deck. So you actually work out where you pitch, this is a problem that I see in the world, this is the solution I'd like to bring to the world, and start going and having those conversations and pitching. The issue of not having enough time is actually a bit of a cop-out, to be honest, because the world's not fair on so many playing fields, and yet the only playing field the world is fair on is that we all get 24 hours a day. If you had a screaming baby like I have with colic, you'd somehow find a way to get everything done and not sleep. So if you want to start a business, just sleep 4 or 5 hours a night and take from 5 a.m. till 8 a.m. and just get up 3 hours early and do that. And it's hard. It's really, really hard. Starting a business is difficult. That's why so many people don't do it. It's late nights, it's weekends, it's early mornings, it's from midnight till 3 a.m. And pretend you've got a screaming baby.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Yep.
How would you be able to help the services sector, say legal services?
We've done a lot of work with the legal services sector. So the model that everyone's working with in services is selling time for money, and yet no one wants to buy time. Everyone wants to buy a specific result. So as people say to me all the time, people want to buy my time, and that's what they want. They want me. And I say that's rubbish, because if they walked into your office and you said, let's sit down and play Scrabble, they'd be furious. They'd say, that's a waste of time. I don't want to play Scrabble with you. And you say, well, what is it you do want? I thought you wanted my time. Let's play Scrabble. I say, no. What I want is I want you to sort out this mess that I'm in. Ah, okay, so you want to sort out the mess. So one of the things we do is we actually identify all of the problems that your business is solving, and we try and productize those problems by accessing your existing intellectual property as to how you do that, creating methodologies, creating content. So a combination of content, methodologies, and the type of person who could then operate that content and that methodology. So we then look at how could software do it. We then look at how could we outsource some of the functionality. We then look at how could we partner with others to bring other elements into it. So we go through a bit of a process, but we actually have worked a lot with lawyers, and we've productized every lawyer we've come across so that they can comfortably sell a solution as opposed to selling time. or sell a solution with a little bit of time packaged in for some of the components.
Okay, any more questions?
Thank you very much.